On the morning of a date of death, the world awoke to the devastating news. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, iconic as Theo Huxtable, a beacon of black excellence on television, had died. Headlines declared it an accidental drowning. But beneath this simple statement lay a whirlwind of confusion, speculation, and grief so heavy it rippled across entire generations. For some, the news seemed unfathomable. A man still vibrant in spirit and presence, whose work had inspired millions, gone without warning. To fans who had grown up alongside his career, it felt like losing a brother. Beyond the disbelief, a darker tension emerged. Whispers among insiders that something didn't add up. A drowning could be an accident, or something, orchestrated. And while initial statements from law enforcement cited no evidence of foul play, those closest to Malcolm sensed a disquieting disconnect between the public narrative and the private reality. In the days following, layered truths and half-revealed memories began to emerge. A private farewell. Silence over pageantry. Within 24 hours of the announcement, Malcolm's family and legal team began arranging a funeral, but not one befitting a Hollywood star. No red carpets, no media blitz, no crowds of mourners. Instead, there was only a hush, a deliberate, calculated silence. The service was designated private, limited to an inner circle of just 30 people. His daughter, former fiancée Regina King, a few co-stars from The Cosby Show, and a handful of lifelong friends. Notably absent? Bill Cosby, the man who launched Malcolm's career, a glaring omission that swiftly sparked rumors. Invitations were fiercely guarded. Guests were made to sign non-disclosure agreements before receiving minimal details. A time window, a gown code, one location that would change at the last minute. The secrecy was unprecedented, but apparently intentional. Was this truly Malcolm's wish? Or had someone else orchestrated the ruse, perhaps to bury something deeper? Secrecy in the mountains. Asheville as sanctuary. The chosen location was startling. A secluded, forest-lined chapel outside Asheville, North Carolina, far from the usual celebrity farewells in Los Angeles or New York. Nestled among whispering pines and rolling hills, the place was off the grid. Cell reception was nearly non-existent, and even drones were banned by private security. Those invited described navigating winding mountain roads until they reached an unmarked gate where their credentials were meticulously verified. It turned out Asheville held special meaning for Malcolm. Sources revealed he'd visited regularly in the last year of his life, alone, seeking peace in solitude. "This place brings me peace," he allegedly told one friend in hushed tones. "No red carpets, no fake smiles. I want trees. I want silence." And that's exactly what he got at the end. A farewell in harmony with the final chapter of a life that had increasingly withdrawn from the public glare. The casket that spoke. Craft, symbolism, and a quiet statement. In stark contrast to the minimalist chapel, the casket itself was a work of art and narrative. Commissioned from an independent black artisan in New Orleans, it was hand-carved from rich mahogany, deep auburn grain polished to a gentle sheen. Etched along its lid were 3 adinkra symbols, each carrying layered meaning. Ban, safety and security, at the head, to signify protection and refuge. Duenema, humility and strength, at the center, reflecting Malcolm's persona beneath fame. Most strikingly, Ambon Mu, protection from betrayal, at the foot. A powerful, mysterious symbol not commonly used in public memorials. That last engraving was not subtle. Attendees later confided that it was read as a silent charge, not against Hollywood elites, but someone closer, someone who had betrayed him in ways he could not forgive. The object transformed into a message, not just farewell, but reveal. Final wishes, an unseen face and a sealed body. Perhaps the most unsettling request was Malcolm's insistence against an open casket. "No body viewing," read the official statement. Some claimed it was due to the nature of the drowning. Others believed it was a final metaphor. He'd spent his final years feeling unseen, misrepresented. So he requested his passing be as invisible as he felt. No face, no funeral photos, No televised coverage. Only absence. Online, fans raised protests. Was it really him inside that coffin? What was so special, or so frightening, that the body must stay sealed? These questions only multiplied when the location and service details remained inaccessible to cameras or press. The guest list. Who was in? Who was barred? Attendees described intense security protocols, metal detectors, confiscated phones, and even facial recognition scanning. Only 35 people made it inside, each scrubbed through private screening. Many guests had to pass a do not allow list, a list Malcolm had pre-compiled before his passing. The names excluded were jarring, among them Bill Cosby, longtime mentor, now officially banned. Malcolm reportedly told a friend, "I will not be remembered merely as his son. I was more than that show." Among those refused entry, Aries Davenport, a former girlfriend rumored to be writing a memoir about their relationship, who was denied. She later allegedly screamed at staff that she had a right to mourn. Security escorted her off the grounds. A former 1990s sitcom co-star with unsubstantiated rumors swirling about alleged emotional blackmail and theft during Malcolm's period of depression. A biological cousin, estranged after Malcolm accused them of leaking private photos and financial details to tabloids. "He nearly ruined my sanity," Malcolm had confided. Meanwhile, attendees inside included Phylicia Rashad, who portrayed Theo's mother. She entered in silence, wearing dark glasses and a black veil. Witnesses later recounted that she wept like a mother. Sabrina LaBeouf, Elvin Owens, present but seated in separate sections, quietly distant. Vanessa Bell Calloway was noted to leave early, without greeting Phylicia. Angela Bassett came alone, carrying a single white rose. No entourage, no statement. And then there was Lisa Bonet, escorted in discreetly via a side gate under private guard. Sources suggest Malcolm and Lisa had a deeply personal, unresolved professional history. She had asked to come, despite being discouraged, but was apparently allowed under strict conditions. Inside the chapel, a ceremony, etched in time. Inside, the chapel was stripped back. Navy blue and ivory drapes, colors Malcolm favored, lined the walls. Photos traced the arc of his life, childhood snapshots, scenes from the Cosby Show, along with images from his later work in music, poetry, and activism. There were no massive floral displays, only 100 white roses and lilies arranged simply around the casket. The feeling, mourners said, was more like a spiritual retreat than a celebrity event. Phylicia Rashad gave the eulogy, her voice cracking as she spoke. "He wasn't just Theo to the world. He was a son to me. On and off screen, we laughed together. We cried together. I watched him become a man I was endlessly proud of." Across the room, Keisha Knight Pulliam, who portrayed Rudy, delivered a tribute marked by tears, recollecting a big brother who had protected her even off set. Then came a surprise, a letter from an unnamed ex-girlfriend, read aloud. In it, "He carried a storm inside him, but he never let it consume those he loved. He was complex, gentle, brilliant, and tragically misunderstood. Malcolm, you will forever be the poem I couldn't finish." This intimate inclusion transformed the assembly from a standard funeral into a layered confession in absentia. A secret revelation, the hidden manuscript. Moments before the final prayer, a cousin, one not banned, one who had stayed on good terms, took the podium. He shared news that sent ripples through the stillness. Malcolm had been quietly working on a memoir, a raw, confessional manuscript titled Unscripted, The Life They Didn't See. He had intended it to be his ultimate legacy, a corrective to the fame, a reclamation of voice beyond Theo Huxtable. Guests gasped. Hands gripped seats. Staff wiped tears. The memoir, unfinished, unwieldy, unfinished, was said to chronicle decades of struggle, being typecast, being silenced by industry powers, being blacklisted after he refused compromising roles, feeling abandoned, especially in the aftermath of the Cosby scandal. The synapse. It was not just a memoir, but a reckoning. The burden of fame, betrayal, silencing, isolation. Family insiders and confidants confirmed that Unscripted was Malcolm's attempt to unpack years of silent pain. Letters he never sent to Bill Cosby, emotional wounds inflicted by a competitive and manipulative industry, power plays from mentors who withdrew when controversy arrived, and even a hidden love story with a woman on a major set, tragically ending before birth. Malcolm wrote, reportedly, "I smiled for the camera while I was breaking inside. I made the world laugh while I silently screamed, and no one ever asked if Theo was okay." These lines, part cinematic confession, part public indictment, served as a haunting testament to the cost of celebrity. Legacy or liability. The legal battle begins. In the hours following the service, the manuscript came into the hands of Malcolm's attorney, and soon became the center of a fierce internal debate. Some family members argued that the world deserved his truth. Others feared irreparable harm, to reputations, to relationships, to the memory of the man they loved. Legal battle lines were drawn. Should Unscripted be published posthumously? Would it forever alter how we remember him? Or would it become yet another casualty in the hush of power, a whisper that won't fade? The aftermath. Long after mourners left the chapel, fans online remained unsettled. Forums buzzed. Could it be true? Something stranger happened than they told us. What was that symbol carved on the casket? That betrayal line? Who betrayed him? Why no viewing, no press, no open casket? Documents filed publicly still cited accidental drowning. Yet certain echoes persisted. Malcolm once told an old friend, "If something happens to me, it won't look like an accident. No proof, no smoking gun." But when combined with the revelations of Unscripted, rumors of threats and industry commentary, some anonymous producer alleging he knew too much, they form a portrait not of tragedy, but of a man silenced before his final confession could be made public. The final question, what happens now? The story now rests with two opposing futures. 1. Publication of Unscripted, bringing Malcolm's voice to the world, offering insight into his pain, his fury, his truth. A reckoning that could shatter Hollywood facades and recommit his memory to authenticity. 2. Suppression of the memoir, sealing his words away, enshrining a public narrative that may never come close to his truth, allowing silence to persist. In either case, the fascination remains. We have lost more than an actor. We lost a voice, a survivor, a man trapped beneath expectations. This funeral, curated, intimate, symbolic, was not just goodbye. It was the final public act of a man reclaiming his narrative. As the dust settles, only one fact remains certain. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's story, and the dark truths he carried, are far from over.